Greetings and welcome back to Doctor Who Revisited, where I go through every single episode of Doctor Who from 1963 all the way up to 2022 and review them. And now we are up to Fury from the Deep, which unfortunately now we're back to the usual model of episodes that are completely missing, or rather a completely missing serial. Oh boy, well, this is another one of those episodes where I can kind of see why it was missing in the first place. I never really minded it too much in the first couple of times I watched it, but now, I mean, it's kind of dull. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna lie. I did not enjoy this most recent rewatch of Fury from the Deep. I really didn't. It doesn't really have a lot of good for me, but let's just start with the positives. First of all, and this is really the elephant in the room here, Sonic Screwdriver. That is the debut of the Sonic Screwdriver, which, you know, in retrospect, looking back at how popular this thing has become, it is another one of those gotta grab your head moment and say, how the hell did the BBC throw this thing out? Like, seriously, they threw out the debut of the Cybermen, but the debut of the Sonic Screwdriver? What the hell, BBC? Anyways, as far as the introduction of the screwdriver itself, it's done pretty much the same way as any other Doctor Who gadget, especially of that time. It's like, the Doctor needs a screwdriver to unscrew some screws, so he just pulls a sonic screwdriver out of his pocket and just, you know, sonics a couple of screws free, which I guess it does have some story relevance to it, because he mentions that it's all done with sound waves, and that is a plot point that comes back later in the serial. But other than that, it's like it's complete throwaway. It's a throwaway prop that obviously gets to come back later, and it gets much more expanded upon in later years. But as for the story itself, it's another one of those 60s environmentalist stories that still kind of happen in Doctor Who today. It's just, you know, pollution is bad. Don't pollute the ocean. That's really what this episode is trying to tell us, because apparently there are creatures that don't like it that you dump pollution all over their homes, and they just rise up and start killing people. And they start taking over people's lives and force them to kill other people. And I will say, with the 60s effects that they had on deck at the time, I think they did a really good job. The eerie moments of those two people who are already been taken over by the weed creature things, whatever they are, where they just open their mouths and some loud noise starts to come out of it, and that's how they take people over. That was, like I said, it's a 60s effect used to the fullest extent. They did the best they could with that effect, and it does look pretty creepy and eerie, I will give them that. But other than that, I don't think the design of the creatures looks that good or intimidating. And they really didn't do much in the way of explaining how these creatures came about, where they're from, what their purpose is. They're just the generic monster of the week creatures that regularly show up in Doctor Who. There's really not much development there. I don't even think those creatures can talk, so that's a huge disadvantage for them. And, well, the rest of the people in the place don't really seem anything too different from the people we've already seen in the Ice Warriors. There's the one guy who's like the super bossy, who wants everything to go by the book, and he's upset that nothing happens the way he wants it to happen. I mean, it's a pretty generic human boss type character. We've seen that type of boss type character in the Moon Base, even though I feel like the human characters in that episode were much more developed and they had much more character progression. This guy doesn't. He's just your stereotypical stingy boss that runs a tight, smooth ship, and he's willing to put people's lives at risk for the sake of maintaining his good name and his achievements of being, what was it, the only drill site that hasn't stopped in over 2 years or whatever. I can't even remember. That's how much I blotted that episode from my brain. I don't care. I'm sorry. I love some of the scenes that somehow managed to survive the purge process because they were removed for other broadcasting services, and they were brought back when they made the recreation. I love some of the helicopter sequences flying through all the rigs. I like that. That looks pretty good. But other than that, like I said, that being a missing episode, the villains being very generic, the human characters being very underdeveloped, it really hampers the whole production. And like I said, it's nice that the whole idea of Soundwaves being able to do what they did, as evidenced by the sonic screwdriver at the beginning of the episode, comes to play later in the story with Victoria's screams, which once again, it highlights the flaws of that character. Is she's the scream queen, but in this is a rare occurrence where her screams of terror are actually useful, because apparently these weed creatures are sensitive to sound, so she keeps screaming at them and they just revert back. Like, they walk away because they just can't handle the screams. And even then, that's a storyline that was already used, rather a plot point that was already used in the Censorites with Susan, another notorious scream queen. So, I don't really see a lot of appeal in this episode. I will say this, it is the departure of Victoria. Speaking of Victoria, that is where she leaves, and you can kind of tell that from the beginning of the serial, it's been pretty much set up that she's tired of always being chased by monsters and seeing death and destruction wherever they go, which, you know, I can understand her. That is a motive that that a lot of other companions have expressed before or since Victoria's departure, so you can kind of see why she wants to leave. And the people at the rig seem like fairly decent people. They've got a good job, and they have living quarters at their job place, so she won't go hungry, she won't starve, and if she can see a future with these people in that specific time period of Earth, then good for her. I will say that I think the departure is done pretty well. Again, it would have helped a lot if it wasn't another missing episode. I think there is an animated reconstruction of it, or rather an animated recreation. I haven't got a chance to see it. Maybe I'll change my tune if I see that one, like I did with the animated recreation of the Macra Terror. But overall, like, the episode itself pretty boring, with the exception of the departure scene, and I love how her departure affects Jamie and the Doctor to an extent. You can really see that Jamie has developed feelings for Victoria, and this is something that he has done with some of the other female characters that have traveled with him and the Doctor. It's one of the first few examples of inter-companion relationships. Like, the companions really do care about each other, have feelings for one another, and I think it's perfectly exemplified with Jamie's reaction to Victoria's departure, and the actual scene itself where she stands on the beach waving the Doctor and Jamie goodbye as they go with the boat back to where the TARDIS was parked. It's pretty emotional and very touching, and again, would have worked a lot better if it wasn't a missing episode. Well, that's the best I got right now. And I love how the way the episode ends, of the Doctor asking Jamie, where do you want to go next? And he's like, I couldn't care less. And the Doctor was like, I was fond of her too, you know. So, yeah, it's in the grand pantheon of companion departures, it's one of the good ones. That's all I can say for that. But in any other case, not really a very, very engaging episode, and very, you know, generic one-off is all I can say. That's all I can say about Fury from the Deep, and let me know what you think about it, and let me know how wrong I am if you feel like it's one of your favorite episodes or whatever. I don't know. I just don't like it as much. Anyways, to me, the only memorable part about it is the debut of the Sonic Screwdriver and that it's the departure of Victoria. So whatever. So yeah, that's it for me, and we leave you to ponder what I just said about the episode, because I honestly have no idea how to end this review. So goodbye for now. Hi there! Thank you for watching the video, and if you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and tell your friends. I'll see you next time.